So a belief in society is things that we hold to be true. All beliefs are socially constructed and are created by society. And some beliefs are secular, so they're not religious at all. But as I say, other religions can be, or beliefs can be religious. Now, when it comes to religion, a religion is a set of beliefs which are based on a supernatural being, and the events of this earth are influenced by the supernatural. Religion comes in loads of different forms. You can have religions with one supreme god or a single god, several gods, and even some religions where there is no god. So Buddhism, for example, does not believe in a god. There are two different approaches to measuring and recording religion. We have the substantive definition and the functional definition. The substantive definition introduced by Yinger is quite specific, so it looks at what a religion does and believes. So it's about the belief system, the practices, the rituals of that group. Very, very specific. Functional definitions are far broader. So this was introduced by Durkheim and looks at what a religion does. What do people get from the activity, the event, the gathering? It also includes elements of what, looking at sacred and profane. So does something have religious significance, and then does something not have religious significance? As essential notes to be aware of, functional definitions are what we would say are inclusive or too inclusive. So it's easy to consider any gathering or anything to be a religious event, and therefore this makes it very difficult to study religion with the functional definition. Substantive definitions are almost the opposite. They're too exclusive. So it creates too small a group to study religion with, and therefore it's not really reflective of wider religious beliefs. Now, science aspires to be free from the beliefs system, and it claims to be objective and value free. So when it comes to science, it's all about the pursuit of empirical evidence, looking at cause and effect and looking at social facts. Science really emerged during the Enlightenment, and two kind of key times that science has clashed with religion. We can talk about Galileo, the astronomer, whose findings revealed the Earth was not the centre of the universe. This was obviously quite a contradiction to the church and religious teachings. We also have Darwin and his theories on evolution, which again became a direct challenge to religious beliefs and the creationist views of the time. And actually, one of the things we've seen is creationism having a bit of a revival, particularly in parts of the United States. Key features of science as a belief system is it's empirical, as I mentioned. They look at objective data, or being objective. They're reliable, quantitative, get it out eventually, and they talk about this idea of falsification and paradigms. Now, we are going to talk about these concepts far later in the course, but ultimately the idea that science is based on the idea of being able to prove it wrong. If you can't prove it wrong, then it must be correct. And lastly, some of the contemporary issues we have, particularly with science, is that feminists criticise science for being mainstream. Science has created global issues like global warming, plastic pollution, and people are less inclined to trust science today. And lastly, we have ideology. So these are a set of beliefs or principles that are supporting of a particular group. So they try to support a group's views and hold the interests of a particular social group. So we might see social and political movements like government, like Labour, Conservative. We can even look at sort of Black Lives Matter and Brexit as ideological movements. We can see Marxism and feminism both being ideologies, so supporting a particular social group who experience oppression or discrimination as a result of a wider social force, such as capitalism or patriarchy. The key features of ideologies are they tend to be secular. There is no supernatural being. It's often a real-world oppressive force or real-world issue they're at odds with. They're not always based on empirical evidence. They may be selective and choose evidence to support their views and ignore evidence which challenges it. The belief system is generally seen as exclusive. It can be a specific group who need to be part of it, and they want to cause social and political change. Some contemporary issues might be, despite all the advances for equality for women and the efforts of feminism, there are still persistent gender inequalities in society today. And just as a very last slide here, just to overview it, there are some similarities and differences between science, ideology and religion. So I'd recommend pausing the screen and taking a look at these in your own time. And there we have it.